Today, we're going to do something a little different. This isn't financial advice, not at all. Instead, we're going to jump right into the deep end. We're going to break down a single high-pressure day trading session. We'll look at the strategy, sure, but more importantly, the psychology. What happens when a trader makes a critical mistake and has to claw their way back?
And it all kicks off with this quote from the trader we're following, DrGrand. Trading is the most boring job in the world. I mean, that sounds totally backward, right? You think of trading, you think of chaos, fast moves, high action. But this one sentence, it's the key to this whole session. It's telling us that the real secret, the actual winning, isn't about clicking buttons like crazy. It's about all those long, quiet moments, just waiting.
Okay, so before a single dollar is put on the line, we kind of have to learn the language here. What is our trader even looking for in all those squiggly lines and candles? Let's get into his basic toolkit.
First thing on the list is something he calls a decision point. Just picture this. Imagine a price hits a ceiling and can't get through, but then boom, it smashes right through it. Well, that little area right before the big breakout, that becomes super important. He sees that as the cause of the whole move. So he's always on the lookout for these spots because he expects the market to have some kind of reaction if it ever comes back down to that zone.
All right, next up is the QM pattern. That stands for Quasimodo, believe it or not. This is one of his bread and butter setups. It's just a very specific shape, a formation of peaks and valleys on the chart that kind of screams, hey, the market might be about to turn around. Think of it like a structural clue that a big change in direction is just around the corner.
But here's the thing, just seeing a pattern isn't enough, not by a long shot. He needs confirmation, and a big one for him is called an engulf. It's pretty much what it sounds like. One big candle on the chart just completely swallows up the body of the one right before it. When our guy sees that happen on a higher time frame chart, it gives him the green light, the confidence he needs to trust a setup he's seeing on a shorter time frame.
And this really shows you that not all setups are born equal. A good QM pattern has what he calls confluence. That just means there are multiple reasons pointing to the same conclusion. It's nestled right inside that big engulfing candle we were just talking about. But a bad one? Oh, he's got names for those. He calls them ugly, terrible, even garbage. It's basically any setup that doesn't have that solid confirmation, and he won't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
So now we know what he's looking for, right? Well, this is where we get to that boring part he was talking about, the hunt. And this is where patience is, without a doubt, the most valuable thing a trader can have. You can almost see the gears turning. He's running this constant mental checklist. It's never about just spotting one little pattern. He's always asking himself, okay, is this setup clean? Do I have confirmation? Are there a bunch of different reasons, those confluences, all pointing in the same direction? And depending on how strong the answers are, that's when he decides how much risk to take, how much money he's willing to put into this idea.
And you know what? For most of this session, the answer he comes up with is a flat no. We just watch him spot these potential trades and then just, nope, he throws them out. He'll even call them out loud. That's a terrible QM. What an ugly setup. That's way too high risk. This right here is the discipline from that opening quote. The real job is sitting on your hands and choosing not to trade, again and again and again.
But then, everything changes. The whole vibe of the session just flips. After all that incredible patience, all that discipline, the whole story gets hijacked by one single accidental click, a tiny little mistake that's about to cause a huge problem.
Okay, so here's exactly how it went down. A little earlier, he took a small experimental $100 trade, and he set the timer for 5 minutes. And here's the critical mistake. He totally forgot to switch the timer back to his usual 1-minute setting. So later on, he sees what he thinks is a perfect 1-minute setup. He jumps in, clicks the button, and then his heart drops. He's just locked himself into a trade for 5 full minutes, 5 times longer than his plan allowed for.
And you can just see it right there on the screen. 5 minutes. The one setting he never uses is now running the show. I mean, in a game that's all about seconds, 5 minutes is an eternity. It completely blows up the entire strategy he was trying to pull off.
His reaction, it's just raw. It's immediate. No way, bro! I forgot to change it back to 1 minute. I guess I'm fucked. I mean, there's no way to pretty that up. That one sentence just captures the pure shock, the immediate realization of how bad this is. All that careful planning, all that patient waiting, just gone. Undone by one little slip of the finger.
So the really critical thing to understand here is that this isn't just about losing money on one bad trade. The real danger is what happens in the moments after. That simple technical mistake becomes a massive psychological test. And honestly,
This is the exact moment where so many traders just completely unravel. And he says it perfectly himself. One single random trade can mess you up. It messes with your psychology, your discipline, everything. He calls it a virus, and that's exactly what it is. It gets in your head and can just shatter the discipline you've spent all day building. Yeah, losing the money stinks, but losing your cool, that's way, way worse. And this is what he calls the beginner's downward spiral. It's a classic trap. You lose a trade you weren't expecting to, and you panic. Your gut screams, I gotta make that money back right now. So what do? You double your trade size. You start taking random shots, trades with no plan, no setup, and you just lose more, and then more. It's a total emotional reaction, it's not strategy, and it almost always ends in a train wreck.
But here's the difference. The professional's response is the complete opposite of that. It's not about doing something, it's about doing nothing. He actually asks himself out loud, what is the most logical decision here? And the answer has zero to do with the market. It's just take a freaking break, step away, let your emotions cool down. You have to stop that downward spiral before it even has a chance to start.
And that brings us to the grand finale, the disciplined recovery. After taking that punch to the gut from the accidental trade, our guy now has to follow his own advice. The big question is, can he actually pull off a recovery while keeping his cool and not falling into any of those psychological traps we just talked about?
And what does he do? He doesn't rush it. He doesn't try to force a trade to make the money back. Nope, he goes right back to the boring part, the waiting. And then he finds it, an absolute A+ setup. It's one of those QM patterns, and it lines up perfectly with the third time the price touches a descending trend line. This is that confluence he's been hunting for all day. Multiple, solid reasons all in one spot.
So he takes the shot, and when it works, his reaction is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You can hear it in his voice. It's not just, yay, I won money. It's this deep professional satisfaction. It's the feeling you get when a plan works perfectly, when your discipline pays off. And with that one, single, well-planned trade, he recovers the entire loss from that stupid mistake earlier.
Okay, but now here's maybe the most important part of the whole day. The temptation, the urge for almost anyone would be to keep going, right? You're on a roll, why not make a profit for the day? But he sees that for what it is, self-sabotage. The mission was simple, recover the loss. Well, mission accomplished. So the most logical and most disciplined thing he can do, shut it down, close the charts, and just walk away for the day. And that really leaves us with a final question to chew on. In a game that's all about quick clicks and fast moves, could the real winning move be knowing when to just close the tab? We started this whole thing with the idea that trading is boring, and we ended it with the biggest win of the day being the decision to stop trading. It really makes you think that in a world drowning in data and action, maybe true mastery is just the quiet discipline of knowing when to sit on your hands and do nothing at all. That's the real win.